So welcome to our class which reviews all of the elements that we've been working on over the last few sessions. I want to revisit each of them and revise the qualities that they each contain. I thought we'd do it in reverse order because in the yogic philosophy, we start with ether, we start with this void, and as different elements get added in, it builds from this very subtle, difficult to grasp element of space, of ether, to the densest element of earth. So that's how we're going to work through our practice today. So come to lying down, and rather than your classic Shavasana pose, I want you to see if you can make it even more spacious. Maybe taking it into pentacle pose, which is with your arms sort of shoulder height, reaching out in each direction, and your legs taking up as much space on your mat as you're able to, as your space around you allows. And bringing your eyes to gently, lightly closed. Breathe in this idea of vastness, of expansion, of taking up space. So in the beginning, there was ether. There was this void, which was a container to put things in. And in yogic philosophy, the first thing to happen was vibration. So the element of ether is connected to the sense of sound, connected to the ear. So there's this vibration, and the primordial sound is Om. So you lie there, I'm going to Om to you. This Om sound we do in our yoga classes brings in the idea of connection throughout the universe, to everything, to everyone. I want you to feel those vibrations. And then into ether comes air. Our second element of air is when we start getting movement. So we get the sense of touch. With air, we can feel air as well as hear it. So starting to deepen your inhales and lengthen your exhales. I want you to start bringing movement into your yoga practice. So taking your left knee, bend your left knee, bring it up over towards your chest and hug it in, linking your fingers around the shin. Hug that left knee in. Lengthen up through your spine, stretch out through your right foot, so long right leg. And we're going to come into a lying twist. So keep your right hand resting lightly on your kneecap and extend your left arm out to the side. Glue your left shoulder to the floor and try and keep it there. Take a nice deep inhale. And on the exhale, gently guide your left knee across to the right and come into a lying twist. You might need to shimmy your hips back. You might want to bend both knees instead of just the top one. But come into a lying twist and notice how this feels at the beginning of the class rather than at the end of it. We use this posture to find expansion and space. But how does it feel without being warmed up? Go gently on your body. Can you investigate what resistance is there? Because in ether, in space, there is no resistance. So trying to use the breath to relax into this passive twist. Last couple of breaths on this side. Before you roll onto your back, bend both knees, feet flat on the ground, straighten yourself up, and then stretching out both legs. This time let's reach the hands overhead, reach through your fingertips, your toes, have a full body stretch. Inhaling, exhale, the right knee comes up over the chest for a squeeze in. Well done. And then allowing your left hand to stay on the right knee, stretching out your right hand. Inhale, and on the exhale, guide that right knee over, across the body to the side, towards the floor. And your right foot might rest on the floor, it might rest on the leg, you might shimmy your hips back. Try and find your way into a lying side twist. The option to keep the nose pointing up to the ceiling, or if you want, turn it in the opposite direction to the bent knee, so looking towards your right hand perhaps, and breathe here. Can you soften? Can you allow the body to melt into the space around you? Okay, so different challenge maybe to when we do this at the end of a yoga class. Couple more deep breaths. Thinking about the qualities of space, taking up as much room as you can with this posture. And then coming back up onto your back with the knees in the air, maybe hug them over the chest for a little rock and roll. And your choice, you can roll onto your side and come up to kneeling, or you can get hold of your big toes, cross your ankles, and flip yourself up, and over we go. Coming together in tabletop pose, where I want to start discovering the qualities of air in our practice. So hands a little bit in front of the shoulders, ready to move from cat and dog into a cat and cow into a downward dog pose. So let's find length in the spine, keeping that idea of space. And then let lightness float your back up. As you exhale, let the back float up to the sky like a parachute. And then inhale, find space across the front of the chest as you dip the tummy into our cow pose. Couple more times through each of them, using your breath, floating your back up, rounding the back in cat, floating the chest forward, the tailbone lifts in cow pose. And then keeping this pulse going, I want you to slowly move into more of a rocket cat, which is when we tuck the toes under, we arch the back, and the knees start to lift off of the floor. I don't want you to heave yourself up with your hands. I want you to get this idea of lightness in the body and see if the hips can float up and back, and let the knees lift off the floor. See if you can feel lighter. Suddenly there's not such a weight to lift in doing that. If your wrists don't like this, you can try it on forearms. And eventually you'll be getting up into a downward facing dog. And if you don't want to stay in down dog for a few breaths, then come to puppy dog, come to kneeling and walk your hands forward. So it's a down dog, but on your knees. For those in downward facing dog, you can walk the legs out, bending one knee then the other. Feel an expansion down the back of the legs. And then either kneeling or in downward facing dog, we're going to think about working towards a lunge, a low lunge. So lift the right foot up behind you, either kneeling or in three-legged dog now. Length in the body, think space. If you're in three-legged dog, bend that left knee, get a little spring in your step. We're going to think up and over with lightness, swinging that foot forward and bringing it between the hands, trying to land it lightly. Everyone down on their back knee if you're not already. Good stuff. And then we're going to draw the hips back, slowly draw the hips back, bow down. And inhale, bend the knee, come forward again. So thinking about Hanuman, our half split here. Bowing down over that front leg. Can we find space in the stretch we feel down the hamstring, down the calf? Taking that right hip back because it's going to be the left hip that's easier to lead with this. Draw that right hip back. Stay for a breath. You can lift those front toes or you can stretch the toes forward, your choice. Long spine, length and space. Good, and then come forward so that the knee is over the ankle and we're going to float up. Inhaling, drawing the hands up into crescent lunge and Anjali Asana, reaching up through the fingertips. Let the hips dip forward if that's okay on your lower back, zipping up the tummy to let that lumbar spine be relaxed. Turn the palms outwards, so backs of the hands are now towards each other. Big breath in there. On the exhale, push the hands out and lift up into your crescent lunge. And then on the inhale, lift the arms up again, dip the hips. On the exhale, turn the palms, push the air out like bird's wings, like we were flying. One more time. Inhale, up, dip the hips. And then pushing through the air. Good. Bring the hands down this time, down to frame the toes. If you've got a block, you might want to grab it. We're going to come from this low lunge into a warrior three balance. So you can touch your toes and come up into runner's lunge first of all. If you've got the block in front of you, then have that ready to make the floor higher in a minute. But I want you to see if you can launch off, first of all, into a low balance with your leg bent, and then maybe you come up a little higher. If you want the stability of a block, you can use that. You can stay with the hands on the floor. I want you to come into your version of warrior three. So we're standing on that right leg, pressing into the ground. Length through the crown of the head and through that back heel. Flex those back toes, see if that helps. And I don't mind if the toes are down a little nearer to the ground. And I don't mind if the hands stay on the ground or maybe the fingertips. But you might want to experiment lifting the back foot up higher, pointing the toes down to the ground, little inward rotation of the thigh. And maybe the fingertips float up off of the floor. This last breath, maybe the arms even lift into an aeroplane. And then gently come down again. Land the fingers, land the back foot, step it back, come to kneeling. Good. So you've got that block there ready for the other side. When we're ready, let's do that again. So you can start here in kneeling or tuck the toes and come into downward facing dog. This time, the left foot is going to lift out behind you, hip height. So up in the air in down dog or parallel to the floor if you're in kneeling. Get a feeling of lightness, a little spring in that foot that's still on the ground. If you're in three-legged dog, thinking up and over we go. Inhale. Stepping through on the exhale, landing the foot, good, in the middle of the hands, and drop the back knee. Lovely. And then slowly, let's draw the hips back, take that first bow, don't make it too deep, and then release again. And think about, can I keep length in my spine? It's really tempting to round the back here. Slowly draw the hips back. We're looking for space, not agony, but I want to feel a bit of a stretch. Draw that left hip back more than the right hip. keep those hips square to the front of the mat. It will want to be skew with, and then stay for a breath. Breathe in and out of the intensity, starting to bring in a little bit of fire maybe into our practice, and then come forward. Knee starts over the ankle, ready to rise up, lifting the hands out, up to the sides, and turning the palms outwards. Exhale, pushing the air down. On the inhale, let the hips sink forward. Can you lift the heart? On the exhale, you rise up again. So letting the knee drop forwards, coming towards the toes, and then it comes back over the ankle. Last time, up in the air. And this time, as the hands come down, you can bring them to the floor. Ready for warrior 3 on this side. Back toes tuck under, come into a runner's lunge. Set yourself up. So if you want to block, ready to help you balance, you can. And take your time, okay? Little rock between the feet. When you're ready, launching into your balance with a bent leg. We don't want to completely straighten that standing leg. So the right leg doesn't want to be locked at the knee, little micro bend, but you find your balance and explore the expression of your warrior 3 today. Maybe fingertips stay on a block, maybe they reach forward to a wall or a chair. Perhaps they just lift off the floor so that they can touch down if you want to. And how is that back leg? Can you turn the toes down to the floor so that the thigh rotates inwards and the foot isn't sticking out to the side? Keep the breath going. And then this time, instead of stepping back, we're going to step forward into a forward fold and dangle down. Let the knees be soft. Let the arms sway. Good. Just a suggestion of the elements to come. A little bit of heat, a little bit of fire, a little bit of water now, smooth and flowing. We're not there yet. So we're going to build some heat. Let's bring in this element of fire, our next element. Let's press in to the floor, pressing down with our feet and come into chair pose. So lift the arms forward halfway as you sit back with the sit bones as though you're sitting on a chair. Yes, good. Feel the thighs working. Press down into the feet, rise all the way up this time. Big inhale, arms above the head. Hands come together at the top and bring them down to the heart space to arrive in mountain pose. Let's release the hands, palms facing forward, roll the shoulders back and breathe here, nice and tall. Good stuff. Let's get this fire going in our belly. So a great way to start a fire is give it some air. So we're going to use these elements that we've got, our container, our air, to fuel the next element, the fire in our belly, and do the breath of fire. This is the one where we pump the belly strongly, drawing it back on the exhales. So you're welcome to keep your hands on your belly here if that helps. We'll do 10 of these breaths, and then we're going to take them in chair pose. So let's remind ourselves what this breath is all about in standing, first of all. So hands on the belly, just to remind you that it should be going in on the exhale, and you should feel your belly swell on the inhale under your hands. We do a little preparation breath, and then a breath at the end I'll guide you through as well. So inhale, exhale, nice and deep. Inhale again, and then 10 fast belly pumping breaths. Exhale out. And then big inhale in. Let's lift the arms over the head for that inhale. Bring the hands down in front of the heart for the exhale. Okay. We're going to come into chair pose. I'm going to do 20 of those breaths. Okay, so coming with me, let's inhale, lifting up the arms, and exhale into your chair position. So if you want an intense experience, arms can stay up next to the ears, or they can come parallel with the floor, or they can come to the heart, your choice. Once we're there, pressing down evenly as you can into the feet, we're going to do our breath of fire. So inhale, exhale to prepare. Big inhale and off we go. 20 belly pumps this time. Exhale. Press down through the feet. Inhale, stretch up. And exhale, hands come together in front of the heart. Well done. Just absorb that for a moment. We're going to do it again. 20 breaths in chair pose. You can choose an alternative chair position if you want to this time, or you can stay standing. I leave it to you. You know your body. Inhale, reaching up. Exhale, coming to your chair pose. Inhale here. Exhale, can you go a little deeper? Good. 20 breath pumps. Last one, exhale. Well done. Press into the floor, reach up, inhale. Exhale, hands down to the heart space. And stand in mountain pose. Release the arms, release the breath, maybe close your eyes, stand in your energy, soak it up. Feel the prana perhaps whizzing around the body. That should have got things going. Notice any sensations. So with fire comes heat, comes transformation, comes challenge. Sometimes we can meet our limits and we burn through them. That's what we can use. We've got tapas, that idea of discipline that comes with the element of fire. And the sense with fire is sight. So you can see fire. It's the first one that's visible to us. Let's bring your hands together. Come to the top of your mat. If you're not already there, we're going to do a couple of half sun salutations. So inhale, reaching the hands up. Exhale, folding down, forward fold. Inhale, touching the fingertips to the shins, come to a half forward fold. Nice long spines. Exhale, fold down again. And softening the knees, press down into the floor, all the way up on the inhale, reaching the hands above the head. Exhale, back to the heart. Right, I want you to do 2 more rounds, a little quicker than that. Inhaling and exhale with your own rhythm. These sun breaths are good for energizing, good for working the digestive system, the respiratory system, the circulatory system. So think of the beginning and end of our sun salutations. That's effectively what we're doing here. Lifting halfway, folding back down, and then rising all the way up. No rush to get there. 1 more round in whichever tempo is right for you. Bowing to the ground, lifting halfway, bowing down again, and then saluting the sun as you rise up, reaching up to the sun. Finishing next time, your hands are in front of your heart. Noticing the breath, you can release the hands into mountain pose again. Feeling a warmth, hopefully, in your body. Good stuff. And let's turn to the side. Take a turn to your left, I think. So taking a turn to your left. Turn your right toes to the top of your mat. Adjust your left foot, ready for a warrior stance. A nice wide pose. Inhale, lift those arms up, shoulder height, look down the right arm. Exhale, bend the front knee. Warrior 2. Don't let go of those other elements. So we want to find expansiveness, ether, space in this posture. Think of the vastness that's reaching out of your fingertips into the infinite space in front and behind. Take a look at that backhand. How is that feeling? Good. And then use the breath, that idea of the element of air to flow in and out of this posture, rising up a little and sinking down. Maybe you can sink a little lower, pressing into the ground, that outer edge of the back foot, making contact with the earth, bringing in the fire in your thighs by drawing the thighs towards each other. Maybe there's some fire in your arms. You can always take the hands to the hips. And then we're going to start bringing in a little water by taking our side angle. So bending the right arm, bring it down onto the right thigh, hand to the hip at first, and find that space in the back of the body by leaning forward a little, reaching the tailbone back and trying to keep that space as we tuck the right butt cheek under it goes. Press into the outside edge of the back foot. Think about the angle up through your body, up through the crown of the head. And maybe the top arm wants to float up to the sky. Maybe it wants to move. So find some fluidity if it's there. Can we think about rolling this top shoulder up towards the sky, opening the heart to the sky, using your arm like an antenna, picking up on the signals from the universe as we bring in a little flow, a little fluidity. Big inhale to finish. Exhale, the hands come down to the floor, either side of the foot, but then we're going to walk them round to the side of our mat, turning the toes so that they're pointing now to the long edge. And keep the knees soft here. You can use that block if you want to bring the mat a little higher and have a sway from side to side in our wide-legged forward fold. See if you can gradually let the head go lower. If that's okay for you to have the head below the heart, let the crown of the head dangle down towards the floor as you sway. Maybe get the hands involved as well in a water-like movement, thinking of the qualities of water to ebb and flow, to go around obstacles, to be creative, to be flexible. Lovely stuff. And then finding the center with your hands, start heel toeing the feet towards each other, about mat width apart, that sort of distance, toes pointing out to the corners of the mat, so your heels are closer than your toes. And you can bring your hands onto your thighs, and you can stay in a squat like that if you want to, long spine, or using your breath, you can exhale the hips down a little further. Big inhale, exhale down a little further. You can stay up if you want to. And when you get to your squat of choice, you can still bend and straighten your legs if you want, or you can stay in it. 3 breaths, either straightening the legs and then coming back into the squat, or staying with it. Deep breaths here. Okay, so maybe the elbows are pressing the knees apart, maybe your hands are on your thighs. Well done. On your next exhale, release into a forward fold, rolling up to standing, nice and gently. Coming back to the top of your mat. And this time you are turning to your right so that your left toes are at the top of the mat. And you adjust that right foot. Ready for this on the other side. Inhale. Take your arms out. Look down that left arm. Exhale and feel the power of your warrior. Okay, so we always start from our foundations. Even though we haven't got there yet, we're using the element of the earth, strong and stable, and then we draw energy up from there. So it's as though the feet are trying to move towards each other, the thighs trying to scissor towards each other. For every exhale, the hips dip down. And the arms stay at shoulder height, unless that's creating issues in your shoulder. It shouldn't all be about the burn, but if you feel a little bit of work in the arms, I'm absolutely fine with that. So reaching into space, using breath to draw in the air, little fire going on in different parts of the body. Let's use those core muscles to keep the spine nice and upright, the heart lifted. And then we'll cool it off a little with our side angle. So bending the left arm this time, bringing the left arm down onto the left thigh. Right hand comes to the hip, and we establish ourselves in our side angle first of all. You can use that little trick of leaning forward a bit, sticking out the bottom, and then feeling how that spreads out your back, trying to keep that feeling of space as you then tuck the left butt under, rolling the right shoulder back, lifting the heart as is right for you. And maybe the arm floats up, maybe you don't want it to. And we try and experience a feeling of floating, flowing in this posture. Maybe the arm is like seaweed. If you want to bring in the idea of water, and with the element of water comes the sense of taste. We can taste water as well as hear it, see it, feel it. We can taste it. Big inhale, and then exhale, hands down to the floor, walking around to the side of your mat once again. Toes want to be almost pigeon-toed for this. We're going to do our twist. So if you want a block to bring the floor up a little higher, then grab your block. And the knees can start a little bent. Placing both hands in the center, we're going to keep the right hand there. And first of all, pressing down into the right hand, take the left hand to the hip. Find length in the body in an inhale, so lifting up halfway, real long out of the crown of the head, and then exhale, turning to your left. Maybe the top hand lifts to finish that off. Maybe it doesn't want to. So how is your twist today? Breathing in, flowing back down. And then changing over. So setting up the posture first of all, left hand down, right hand on the hip, length in the spine, inhale, and then exhale into the twist. And maybe your legs are straight, maybe they stay with a little bit of bend in the knee. Then we explore, do I want to lift the top hand or not? How is your wide-legged forward fold twist expressing itself today? Let it be creative. And then bring it back down, flow it back down to the floor. Slowly start heel toeing the feet together. This time we're going to bend the knees and come into a toe squat. So hips come down towards the floor. You don't have to stay here if you don't want to. We're going to come to sitting next. Otherwise, a couple of breaths, balancing on your toes, giving the feet a little stretch out underneath. Inhaling, exhaling there, just for fun. And then bringing yourself down into the ocean. Because what better posture to combine the elements we're currently working on, fire and water, than boat pose. Yay! I hear you all shout. My favorite. Some core work. I wondered when we'd be doing more of that. So we have lots of options for boat pose. And I want you to take the right options for you without losing sight of all of the elements that are at work that are in all of us. So we want to find space. We want to find expansiveness. I want to know that you are still breathing, as well as that fire, which I have no doubt you'll find, and a sense of fluidity. not much. So let's start maybe with your hands behind you and explore with an inhale, lifting the heart, exhale, tipping onto your sit bones, explore what boat pose feels like to remind yourself what boat pose is, okay? So we've got this boat-shaped core center to us and coming out again. Now, lots of options. If you want to try not having the hands on the floor, maybe holding onto the back of the thighs to start with, always think length in the spine rather than rounding the back, tipping back. And I've got 6 breaths now where you can explore your boat pose of your choice. Maybe the shins come level with the floor. Maybe the arms let go. And then perhaps on an inhale, exhale, you stretch one foot out long. And then inhale up to the center and the other one out long. Hands can always come down behind you. And then maybe you go halfway down to the floor on an exhale. And gosh, you need your core muscles to come back up again. Okay, 2 more breaths to explore boat pose in your own way. Maybe you extend the feet out, floating the feet. Maybe you come down to lying and bring the feet up into the air. Last breath, I want your most flamboyant expression of boat pose, yeah, that you can think of. And then hug those knees in. Allow yourself to come down onto your back and have a well-deserved massage, rocking and rolling to ease out the lumbar back. And then when you're ready, letting the feet fall to the floor to relax the tummy muscles, letting it all go. And breathe there for a moment. Again, closing your eyes if you want to. Notice all of the different qualities of the elements. As you use them, as you bring them to mind in your practice, what effect they can have on our practice. Feeling the earth now underneath you, our final element, earth, the most solid. Enjoy the support that it's offering up to you. Earth comes with the sense of smell. So we can smell earth. Okay, it's got an odor to it. And it is said to be made up of all of the other elements. I feel this foundation beneath you. And then hugging the knees one more time. Let's either flip ourselves up by crossing your ankles, or you can roll over onto your side and come upright. And bringing your feet together for bound angle pose, holding on to the feet, gently fluttering the knees. So earth connected to that root chakra, our base. Let's get ourselves in touch with that. So having a little rock around in a circle. Nice. And the other way. Good stuff. And we're going to take a bow forwards. You're welcome to either do this from bound angle pose, or if you prefer, you can cross your legs and I'll swap you over halfway through. So I want you to breathe in and really find length through the spine. And this is not about how far you come forward. We're bowing down towards the ground, but I want you to hinge from the hips. So as you exhale, hinging forward, it might be a tiny way. As I say, you can do it cross-legged if you prefer, bringing the hands onto the floor, or you can be holding on to ankles, shins, feet. And each time you inhale, you try and lengthen through the crown of the head, up through the spine. Each time you exhale, see if there's a tiny movement forward. It might be a millimeter, it might be a micromillimeter. Releasing, relaxing down towards the ground. If you're cross-legged, then coming all the way up on an inhale, swapping the cross of the legs. and trying that again. Each inhale, finding length in the spine. Each exhale, think softening rather than forcing down. Can I soften anymore? Squeeze the hips together, as though you could squeeze the pelvic bones from the sides. And then on the release, is there a last little drop? And then for the last breath, let your head hang down. The back might round a little and find softness in this posture. Softness and release. Good stuff. And then hugging the knees together in front of you, coming up. I want you to ease yourself down onto your right hand side, laying on your right hand side. You can choose whether to stretch the arm out over your head or stay upright a little more on your forearm, flexing your feet, stacking them on top of each other so everything's in line, head, shoulders, hips, ankles and feet. And we're going to try and find all of these elements again. So as we inhale, we're going to lift the arm up. As we exhale, let it drape overhead. Good, a little flow like water. Inhale, exhale down again. Find length and space up through the head, to the feet, to the tips of that top finger. And you can keep working like this, or now you can bring the left foot to the floor in front of the right leg. And if you want to, lift up a little on the inhale, resting down again on the exhale. Maybe you come onto your hand instead of the forearm. You can make this as dynamic or as static as you want. Feel the difference when you're on the floor, if you're lifting off the floor. What's easy, what's hard, which elements are you bringing into the body to do this? One more time, and then we'll switch over to the other side. Good. So straightening out your legs, you can roll over. I'm going to flip myself around so that I stay facing you. Set yourself up, first of all, using the stability of the earth. And maybe you start right down here, if that's comfortable for you. Flexing the feet, finding length in the body, and that top arm brings in your creative juices. Lets the body be fluid and flexible, reminds us how much we're made of water. Remember, 60–70% water? And then maybe that right foot this time coming to the floor in order to give you a little boost on an inhale, and then exhale down to the ground. And maybe if you like that feeling and you want to take it up even more, then the hand comes under the shoulder. But you work as you wish. All of us are made up of different quantities of these elements, and we can vary from day to day. We can feel heavy, can't we, full of the earth element. We can feel light as air. When we're happy, we often feel light. So see what you feel like doing today. One more time. Good. And then you can release yourself down onto the ground for a full Shavasana. Now, if you want to, you can gather together bits and stay here for your relaxation. I want everyone to spend a few breaths here to start with, and then you have the choice to come to sitting if you want to for a meditation, or you can stay lying down. So even though you might not want a blanket straight away, if you know that you might get cold, have it nearby. Put on socks, or again, have them to hand, so you don't have to disturb yourself in a minute. And then I want you to allow the body to relax into the ground. Let the ground absorb the weight of your bones, of your skin, of every cell. Notice the breath, notice the heart rate, and watch as things come back into equilibrium. allowing your eyes to close. It's important that we try and balance the elements within us. When something is wrong in our body, if we're suffering from illness or ailments, something is usually out of balance. Sometimes we can do things to correct that. Our yoga practice is one of the things which helps A, bring this to our attention, and B, bring it back into balance. In yogic philosophy, everything is connected, and this idea of the elements being external to us, but also being within, because we're made up of the same things that everything else in nature is. I love that idea. And one of the places I feel most in tune with nature and the rest of the universe is at the beach. So our meditation today, I'm going to take you to the beach. So you can choose to stay just as you are, lying in your choice of relaxation posture. If you want to bend the knees, you know that's an option, or put a bolster under them, or a cushion or pillow under the head. Or you may wish to gently roll onto your side and press yourself into a seated posture. I leave it to you. It's important that you're comfortable and that your spine is nice and upright and straight and tall, and you can breathe. Breathe freely and easily. Let's start by taking a couple of deep inhale, exhales. Really letting go, perhaps sighing out your exhale. And I'd like you to imagine, if you will, that you're on your favorite beach. This could be a real beach that you know, or a beach in your own imagination. You're going to choose what that beach is like. Imagine that you found a quiet spot. You're comfortable, and become aware of what it is you're sitting or standing or lying on. Is it sand or stones? Perhaps crushed coral or volcanic rock? What is your favorite beach made of? Think of it as the earth beneath you. Feel the stability, the grounding that comes from focusing on this element. Because when the earth element is in balance within us, we feel grounded, we feel strong, we feel like our foundations are unrockable, that we can't be shaken by whatever life has to throw in our path. And then I want you to bring your focus to the sea. How is the sea on your favorite beach? Is it gently lapping on the shore? Is it roaring ocean with crashing waves? What is the color of the ocean? Think about the strength, the power in the ocean, how it can be soft and soothing or extremely powerful. Think of the rhythm of the waves as they come in and then recede back out. Think of that flowing, the ebb and flow of life. If our water element is balanced, we are able to go with the flow, going around obstacles, finding a way through challenges, exploring into opportunities with ease and grace. Our creativity helping us along life's path. And then moving your awareness to the sun. How is the sun up in the sky on your beach? Feel the rays coming down, penetrating through your skin, energizing every cell in your body, bringing warmth and healing and nourishment, just as the sun brings life to everything on this planet. This fiery ball up in our sky that our life revolves around, quite literally. When the element of fire is in balance, we're able to tap into our creative energy, our passion, our energy for transformation and change. Feel that strength in you. And then I want you to notice the breeze on your skin. Is it a gentle, soft breeze, hardly noticeable? Is it a roaring gale, invigorating you with its strength? Does the air take your breath away? Can you breathe in the energy of the air, the most tangible form of prana, of life force that we have? The element of air, bringing lightness into our body, our attitude, opening our heart to grace, feeling gratitude and compassion for ourselves, for others. And then taking your awareness to everything else, the space that is around you, space above the ocean, space above you, behind you, to the sides of you, all around the beach and up into the sky. Most of what's around you is space, this idea of infinite vastness of ether. When this element is in balance, we feel peaceful, knowing that we are connected to everything else. In some way, we're connected to each other, to the world around us, to the universe. Enjoy these feelings of peace, of harmony, of balance within you and all around you, with nature. Allowing yourself to expand and grow into these elements, into this feeling of connection. Taking a deep breath in and out. And when each of your next exhales, your next few exhales, slowly letting go of the image of your beach, becoming a little more aware of yourself in your body. If you're lying down, wiggling fingers and toes, making your way onto your side before slowly pressing yourself up to sitting. If you're already sitting, gentle movements in your fingers, your shoulders, maybe moving your head from side to side. Everyone becoming aware of the earth beneath us that we're sitting on. As we bring our hands in front of our heart, and we're going to take a big breath in and then an om together. So first of all, inhaling, taking the arms out to the side, reaching them up, drawing in all of those elements, everything in the universe, and then bringing them down on the exhale back into our heart. And then keeping the hands here, taking an arm, inhaling. And taking a bow to yourself. May you always be in balance within yourself, within nature, within the universe. Namaste.